to the issue of legalizing recreational marijuana in Massachusetts, likely coming before voters this November. The head of the state's special legislative committee, Senator Jason Lewis, was appointed to head up a study, and for months he was the only member of the committee. But now, after a slew of research and a trip to Colorado with him and some of his colleagues, he's speaking out against the plan. Senator Lewis, it's good to see you again.
Good to be with you, Jim.
So can you give me the Cliff Notes version of the primary reasons why you decided after the trip and the research to vote no, or urge people to vote no?
Sure. Well, I went into this when the Senate President asked me to study this with an open mind, and I stayed neutral over the last year when I was heading up the Special Senate Committee. But I am now taking a position publicly in opposition to the ballot question. And that's simply because I think that this is not the right time for Massachusetts to go down this road.
What does that mean?
And second, I think that the ballot question lays out the wrong approach, which is a commercial, profit-driven approach, and I don't think that's the right approach.
Why is it not the right time?
It's not the right time because I'd like to see a number of things happen before we go down the road.
Like what?
So first, we need a strong public health campaign to reverse the perception among young people that marijuana is harmless, which it's not when your brain is still developing. Second,
but just stay on that for a minute. This thing wouldn't be implemented, my understanding, should it pass, until January of 2018. That would give you 14 months after people vote for it to do it. Why isn't that adequate time to educate the public?
That might be when retail stores start opening, but the ballot question within a month would allow legal possession and use of marijuana. So right away,
possession is legal now. At least it's decriminalized.
Well, it's decriminalized,
now,
yeah. But that would send a very strong message to young people that this is okay, it's safe to use, and we do believe that is likely to increase consumption.
What else in terms of
second is we really need to figure out how to deal with driving under the influence of marijuana. We don't have procedures and protocols. Law enforcement doesn't know how to deal with it. We need to treat it like we do drunk driving, and we need to figure that out first. Third,
by the way, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in February last year said, well, driving drunk dramatically increased. Driving drunk, the risk of getting into an accident. There was no evidence that smoking marijuana alone increased the risk in a statistically significant way. They're the experts.
There have been several different studies, and is often the case with marijuana. There are sometimes conflicting studies, but the preponderance of the evidence that we reviewed suggested that it does overall increase the risk of accidents. Third is we really need to get a handle on baseline marijuana usage in Massachusetts. What are the true public health statistics, the public safety, and economic impacts? This was an issue we heard in Colorado and Washington because they didn't have good baseline data. They haven't really been able to understand the trends in usage and how to drive policy from that.
One of the other reasons that at least was stated in the Boston Globe about it's not quite the time is the delay in implementing medical marijuana. Let's get that right. And when I read that, my response was, you're kidding, right? Because the government has so brutally botched a law that the public passed. The public should be told, hey, you're going to have to wait to do what you may want to do because we are inept. I mean, that is essentially the statement, is it not?
It's a fair criticism, and it is my next reason that I would give. It is a fair criticism. We have made a lot of mistakes along the way, but the reality is there are many, many people in the state who could use medical marijuana to treat their condition, and they don't have convenient, affordable access to it. We have about 23,000 people that are certified in Massachusetts. In Colorado, a smaller state, they have over 100,000. So I do think we should focus on getting that right. If you move to recreational now, it will take a lot of the focus away from medical and getting that up and running.
Senator, you know the history. I'm not sure everybody does at home. They probably do. There have been marijuana-related questions on the ballot every 4 years. 2008, decriminalization. It passed by almost a 2-to-1 margin, 63-34. 2012, medical marijuana, almost 2-to-1, 63-37. And by the way, almost like now, whole political and most of the law enforcement infrastructure urge a no vote. The public says, thank you very much, we're voting yes. How'd you vote in 2008?
I did vote no on both the previous ballot questions.
So do you think that it's fair to criticize your impartiality? I can understand, by the way, the decriminalization thing, but if a doctor can prescribe an opioid, even under the new law that you guys passed, your position was a doctor shouldn't be able to prescribe marijuana to a patient whom he thinks or she thinks needs it? Well, isn't that a bit extreme?
Well, I understand that, and I'm certainly fully committed to implementing it now. But at the time, my view was This is an illegal drug under federal law. It's a Schedule I drug, which means it has no medical value under federal law. And why would we treat this substance different from every other substance that we do, which goes through an FDA-approved process, and we make sure it's safe. We know what the dosage is. We know, what conditions.
But you think
it
you can be
treats.
impartial despite those prior votes?
I do,
Just
because
say no,
well,
which is what you're proposing.
Because I went into this at that point when we started this project a year ago. We already had decriminalization. We already had medical. That was a fact. And to me, and I should have pointed this out earlier, my opposition to the ballot question is not because I'm fundamentally opposed to legalization.
You think the time is not right, you said.
I think the time's not right. And secondly, I think the approach of a profit-driven commercial market for an addiction industry is not the best approach. And we've seen that with tobacco.
One other thing, is every member of your committee so far, have they come out against this? Is that unanimous?
Almost everyone. I think there are a few who haven't publicly expressed a position.
Let me put up the latest poll that I am aware of in Massachusetts. UMass Amherst, 53-40. Beyond, again, I raised the issue of your impartiality a minute ago, and you responded to it. Is it not fair to say the legislature is totally out of touch with where the people are? 52-40 support. And frankly, I was going to say your boss, the leader of the Senate, this Stan Rosenberg, who appears, he's told us, pretty much close to voting yes, doesn't hurt somebody else. He hasn't said it, but pretty much indicated that's the direction he's going. Virtually nobody of the 200 members has had the courage to say it, which leads me to believe it's more about politics in most cases, maybe not yours, than it is unless the public is totally clueless. How do you explain this huge chasm between them and you?
I think it's too soon to really tell. The debate is really just getting underway now, and I think that this is very different from decriminalization or medical.
This is legalization.
This is legalization.
That's what that poll is.
I understand, but I think a lot of people haven't yet focused on exactly what that means, and this is much more complicated than a yes or no question. There are major, major policy issues, which we laid out in our report that we published 2 weeks ago.
How do people get that report, by the way?
It's online.
Where will they go?
masslegislature.gov, and then the reports, or they just Google Special Senate Report on Marijuana.
I was sure you wouldn't know I was wrong. Senator Lewis, it's good to see you. I'm
I
sure
hope
we'll be
they'll
seeing
take a look
lot
at it
in the months ahead.